Hello, Saber fans. Shamim here. I've got a brand new custom Saber install to show off to you guys today. This is a heavily customized Starkiller Saber from the Force Unleashed video games. The base hilt is I believe it's from Holocron, the Etsy seller Holocron. I've done an install on one of his other sabers before. Not the highest quality, definitely not a dueling saber, but it would make a nice display piece, a shelf queen, or a cosplay hilt. So the customer and I wanted to do a very Junkyard esque saber, meaning that none of the pieces that would have been used to make this saber are new or pristine. The idea is that the character went to a junkyard and literally grabbed a whole bunch of pieces, threw the saber together. And so, some of the things that the customer wanted me to do was update the crystal chamber. It had a really, like, a plastic crystal, and it was just very, very boring, plain crystal chamber. So I updated the crystal chamber. I made it from scratch. Because of the junkyard made by hand feel, he wanted to add a Kylo Ren inspired, red wire running from a external battery pack power source that would provide the power from and then the red wire goes up into the crystal chamber. So the idea is that this external power pack here is what sort of helps to fuel and power the saber. He asked me to add a whole bunch more rust and dirt and debris and weathering to the exterior and also to the crystal chamber, to the battery pack. The pommel was not vented for sound, so I vented that for sound, added a blade plug, installed the electronics. So this took a long time to do, through no fault of the customer. It just... I'm lazy. And had a lot of other projects in line ahead, and it took a while to get the crystal chamber right and whatnot. So I appreciate very much the customer's patience in dealing with me. He has been incredibly understanding, and I hope that he will be happy with the final result. I certainly am happy with the final result. This is the first Starkiller hilt that I've done. It has a little bit of Graflex influence at the top, so that appeals to me, the Graflex lover that I am. Though I've never been a huge fan of Galen Merrick or the Starkiller or the Force Unleashed video game story, and so I don't really have a huge emotional connection to this design. But it was a really fun thing to do. It was a challenging project, and I always enjoy a challenge to get to expand my creative skills. So let's take a look at this saber. At the top, I installed a Saber Forge blade plug. Let's take a look at the weathering and rusting. There's a black, silver, and the orangey red rust going all over the place. And here is the new crystal chamber. So in keeping with the thrown together handmade thing, I made it a little bit asymmetrical. So on this side, there's a little power strut that stands out, and on this side, the strut is on the opposite side. So it's the top and bottom power struts. So it's not entirely symmetrical. Really nice, huge quartz crystal. The facets are cut kind of jagged, and there's a little bit of crumpling and crinkling and distortion going on the bottom of the crystal. So again, it lends to the idea that this crystal was just picked up in a junkyard and it wasn't finished properly. A lot of weathering going on. There's a black 12mm AV switch on the back, which serves to activate. You've got a kill key with an internal recharge port there. Let's take a look at the red wire. So the red wire goes from inside the crystal chamber, and then we have these two little greebly things that I picked up from Menards, holding it together. I shaved off the bottom parts and then super glued them down to sort of hold the wire in place. And then it goes into this battery pack. And if anyone has done a conversion on the Kylo Ren Hasbro Force Effects Black Series lightsaber, you may recognize this piece here. It's actually the side LED module heatsink that has been cut in half. So I took the two halves and put them together, painted them, screwed the greeblies on, made the holes for the screws, screwed them on, and then had the red wire running into it. So that was a pretty clever use, I think. You can see some wiring going on internally. A lot more weathering on the outside. And then this screw serves to hold the internal chassis in place. And then we have a pommel vented for sound, which has similarly been rusted and weathered and whatnot. This is the hilt that the customer had commissioned me to do the Ezra sound font for. I don't know why you wanted Ezra's sound font for a Starkiller hilt, but hey, who am I to judge? It's a cool font, and it's a cool saber, so what the hell. So here we go, let's get her fired up. Internally, it's a Nano Biscotti V3 soundboard, 2-watt high bass speaker, and then the LED on the main blade is, I believe it's frost white, and then sort of a frost white, bluish tinged crystal accent as well. So here we go. That's the Ezra sound font from Rebels. So in keeping with the heavily Junkyard thrown together saber aesthetic, both the crystal chamber and the main LED are pulsing and flickering quite dramatically. You can see there's a heavy fluctuation going on very randomly. So there's nothing nice and still and pulsing about this. It's very crazy and like it's about to explode kind of thing. Eight swings and clashes. Both the blade and the crystal chamber will flicker upon impact. It's kind of hard to see because the pulsing and flickering is already set very, very high, but once we get a blade in there, you can see it better. And in person, you can see the crystal flickering much better along with the clash. And off. So that's cool that both of them turn on at the same time. I installed a new retention screw right above the bunny ears there. So it goes through the shroud and then into this main blade holder. So this is what holds the blade and the blade plug. Just unscrew it a little bit. Out pops the blade plug. You can see the white Arctic blue LED there, or frost white, not Arctic blue. Frost. Too many cold LEDs. You got Arctic, you got frost, you got that, mint. It's too cold. I get them all confused. Here we go. So you can see that it is white with just a tinge of blue. And in person, I've talked before about the frost white LED. It's an exquisite color. Really, really beautiful. If I may borrow a phrase from Jordan Mole, gorgeous, absolutely beautiful, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous, beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous. So here you can tell a bit more clearly that the blade is pulsing very intensely, very heavily. And then when it clashes, it flickers very quickly as well. And off. And on again. Nano Biscotti, of course, holds two sound fonts. The second one is just the default dark meat. Let's see that. So you can see that this one is just the default flicker settings. It's not pulsing or flickering dramatically like the other sound font. Each sound font has its own config file, and you can adjust the flicker and the clash and all of that independently of one font from the other, which is nice. So you can see on this one, since the main blade is not pulsing greatly, you can see the flicker on clash much more distinctly. And off. Let's switch back to the Ezra font. I like Rebels, it's nice. Crystal chambers are a pain in the ass to do. They take like hours and hours and hours to get it right. It takes a long time, but once it's all put together, the overall effect is pretty nice. I like it. It's not bad at all. So, yeah. I'm quite happy with it. So this is the Starkiller, heavily modified Junkyard Saber, frost white LED, 12 watt plus LED with accent LED for the crystal. Nano Biscotti sound, 2 watt high bass speaker. Thank you all so much for watching, and may the force be with you.